What is going on, guys? It is week 18 of the NFL season, the final week of the regular season. Some people, this will be the fantasy football championship. For a lot of us, this is going to be a big DraftKings and FanDuel and player prop week. We already got some people in the YouTube comments asking for the DraftKings lineup, which I will have up on the YouTube Live. And as always, on the YouTube Live, I got my top 10 rankings for every single position. I know some of us, the fantasy season is over, but that's even more reason to dabble in DraftKings and FanDuel this week. And of course, the rankings are going to matter regardless of what format you're playing. Kylo, good morning. Thanks for tuning in, man. I do appreciate it. The new week 18 has arrived. What are the spread locks looking like today? Ty, I have three locks against the spread today. We missed our lock against the spread last week, but we're still at around 62% against the spread this season. Let me pull up my picks against the spread on the YouTube Live. We are live on TikTok and YouTube right now. If you're watching live on TikTok, the link to the YouTube Live is in the bio. You're like two presses of your finger away. Should I start Among Us St. Brown? Yeah, you definitely should. He has been on an absolute tear. So I have three locks against the spread today. Week 18 is always crazy, guys. Week 18 is always crazy. You got to be careful against the spread. But there are three games I like a lot. I think the one I like the most is the Ravens game. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites against the Steelers in Baltimore. The Ravens still have an outside chance at the playoffs. The Ravens are still in the playoff hunt, which is why I like this game a lot. Big Ben, it felt like the farewell to Big Ben happened last week in Pittsburgh. I'm not expecting very much from the Steelers offense or really defense either today. I expect the Ravens to win this game handedly. I think Tyler Huntley is going to have a day today. It's why I'm playing him on DraftKings and FanDuel this week. I think Tyler Huntley is the lock of the week on DraftKings, and I think the Ravens minus 3.5 are the lock of the week against the spread. So I like the Ravens against the spread against the Steelers this week. That's one of the locks. You got to be really all the games that aren't locks for me. By the way, again, you can see all my picks against the spread on the YouTube Live. Link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio. But really, all the games that aren't locks for me, I have very little confidence in. It's week 18. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff that happens in week 18. But a second lock for me is the Saints against the Falcons. Minus 4 points against the Falcons. The Saints, similar to the Ravens, have an outside shot at the playoffs still. The Saints have not been eliminated. From the playoffs. Week 18, I couldn't be sadder. Yeah, I know, Brian, man. Week 18, our Raiders.WalterPicks creator, the winner of the WalterPicks 32-person fantasy league, by the way, our Raiders creator. Absolutely amazing victory by him. The hardest fantasy league that I've ever seen. And he came out on top. But big game for the Raiders tonight, Brian. Big game for the Raiders. And my third lock of the day. So I like the Ravens to beat the Steelers by more than 3.5 today. I like the Saints to beat the Falcons by more than 4 points today, but I also like the Chargers to beat the Raiders because I've been a doubter of the Raiders all season. And so why not continue through week 18, man? Why not continue through week 18? To me, the Chargers are a much better team than the Raiders. It's just the bottom line. The Chargers are a much better team than the Raiders. I think that also the NFL will want the Chargers in the playoffs more than the Raiders. Do you think Kelsey could become the GOAT tight end? Yeah, definitely. I think he's on the way for that. You think the Pats going to cover? Yeah, I did take the Pats against the spread. All right, here's my DraftKings lineup really quickly before I get to some of the comments in the YouTube and TikTok Live. Here's the DraftKings lineup. I put a lock next to the players that I think are should be locked into your lineup. You can tinker with the other players, but if you come to the YouTube Live on the screen right now, again, link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio. You can see my DraftKings lineup for the day. Excuse me. We've been on a fire on DraftKings recently. We've had 5 straight weeks where we have cashed on DraftKings. 5 consecutive weeks. This will be our 6th consecutive week. Yo, I won my championship because of you. Chase, that's what I'm talking about, man. If you won your championship, really quickly, PSA, if you won your championship and I helped you get there, or the WalterPicks app helped you get there, go to the WalterPicks app, submit your story to the Winners Wall. You can be featured in the WalterPicks app on the Winners Wall. That's just a list of all the people that have won using the WalterPicks app. So that's really my only ask for you is if we helped you win your fantasy football championship, submit your story to the Winners Wall, be featured in the app. All right, so here's the DraftKings lineup really quickly. The quarterback that I think you have to play is Tyler Huntley. He's priced way too low, and this is a must-win game for the Ravens. Again, the Ravens are not out of playoff contention yet. I think Tyler Huntley's rushing for at least 50 yards today, giving him a great floor. But the Steelers secondary has not been strong all season. So I'm taking Tyler Huntley. I think he's priced under 6K. I think he's like 5,700 on DraftKings. That's an absolute steal. I kind of feel like you have to play Tyler Huntley in all formats, especially on DraftKings. I'm also going with D'Onta Foreman, who has an even easier matchup this week than he did last week, where he just destroyed the Miami Dolphins. He gets a matchup against the worst rush defense in the league, the Houston Texans. The Titans still have something to play for. The Titans need to win to clinch the 1 seed. This is a big game for the Titans. They cannot lose this game. So I like D'Onta Foreman stacked with the Titans defense a lot. I would lock that into your lineup as well. Stacking the Titans defense into your lineup with D'Onta Foreman. Again, if you come to the YouTube Live, link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio. You can see my DraftKings lineup on the screen right now. Link is in the TikTok bio of the YouTube Live. TikTok just does not have that feature. So come to the YouTube Live. But the stack that I'm going with for sure today, I'm starting Tyler Huntley at quarterback. I'm going to stack D'Onta Foreman with the Titans defense. The other two wide receivers that I'm going to lock into basically every lineup, Stephon Diggs and AJ Green, both of which are chasing pretty big incentives in their contracts today. And I think understanding the bonuses and the incentives for different NFL players is pretty big when playing daily fantasy in week 18. And you see Rob Gronkowski behind me. If you're watching live on TikTok, that's because Rob Gronkowski is another guy that I'm locking into my lineup. Gronk is 75 yards and 10 catches away from over $1 million in incentives. So if he gets over 75 yards receiving today, or I think at least 75 yards receiving today, $500,000 into the bank account for Rob Gronkowski. If he gets 10 or more catches, another $500,000 into the bank account for Rob Gronkowski. And with no Antonio Brown and no Chris Godwin, I think both of those are within reach. The 10 catches is a little unrealistic, but certainly 75 yards is within reach. And Gronk led the Buccaneers in receiving yards last week. He doesn't have as good of a matchup this week as he did last week, but I'm locking Gronk into all my lineups. I think Brady's going to feed Gronk and help him hit at least one of these incentives this week. I think Gronk's a lock for at least 75 yards this week. So I'm playing Gronk in every lineup. I'm also playing Stephon Diggs in every lineup because Stephon Diggs is also very close to a lot of incentives in his contract. I think he's like 200 yards away from a big one, and I don't think he's going to go for 200 yards, but I do think he's going to get a minimum of 6 catches because he's 6 catches away from, I think, a $250,000 bonus in his contract. And the last time Stephon Diggs played the New York Jets, he had his best game of the season. He had 13 targets, 162 yards, and a TD. And the Bills are also going to be trying to win in this game. This is not a week where the Bills can just take off. Because if the Patriots win and the Bills lose, the Patriots win the AFC East. So the Bills are going to want their second straight AFC East title. They're going to want to lock in as much home field advantage as they can in the playoffs. I think there's a lot of teams in the league this week that'll be working very hard just to keep home field advantage in the playoffs, because home field advantage in playoffs matters, and it matters a lot. What Diggs needs, he needs 6 catches. He just needs 6 catches. He gets $250K straight to his bank account. He also, if he gets, I think, 225 yards, it's another $250K. I don't think he's going to get 225 yards, but I do think he's going to get over 6 catches, and I think he's going over 100 yards pretty easily. The last time he played the Jets, 162 yards. The Jets, efficiency-wise, in the secondary, just horrible. And this is also a game the Bills need to win. So I'm locking in Stephon Diggs. The other receiver that I'm locking in to my lineups, and I don't feel as great about this one, it's AJ Green. AJ Green's very close to a lot of his incentives. And he has played at least 75% of the snaps for the Cardinals in his last few games. So he's looking fully healthy. He only needs 10 catches and 75 yards. 10 catches, 75 yards for AJ Green. He's in a similar situation to Rob Gronkowski. They both need 10 catches, 75 yards to get another $250K in the bank. Actually, I think Gronk's incentive is even higher. I think it's twice as much as his bonus. But AJ Green needs 75 or more yards this week against the Seahawks. It's the Seahawks secondary that has not been good this season. Bottom 10 secondary in the league this season. And there's no DeAndre Hopkins in this game either. And this is also a game that the Cardinals need to win. the Cardinals could still come in first place in the NFC West. If the Rams lose, and the Rams have a tough game against the 49ers, they're only 3.5-point favorites in that game. The Rams lose, the Cardinals win. The Cardinals are first in the NFC West. So I'm taking AJ Green. I think he's going over 75 yards today as well, and he's priced pretty low. So here are the guys that I'm locking into my lineup this week. Again, on DraftKings, I'm locking in Tyler Huntley for sure. He's priced just way too low. He really should be about $2,000 more in salary. I'm also going to lock in D'Onta Foreman, stacked with the Titans defense. D'Onta Foreman against the worst rushing defense in the league, the Houston Texans. And the Titans need to win to clinch the number 1 seed. If there's any team that has something to play for this week, it's the Tennessee Titans. So I'm locking in D'Onta Foreman with the Tennessee Titans defense. Foreman had over 20 carries last week. I see another 20 coming for him this week. And then the receivers I'm locking in are Stephon Diggs and AJ Green. In the lineup I have up on YouTube, again, link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio. You can just see a little bit more on the screen in the YouTube Live. I'm also playing Marvin Jones, who's chasing some contracting incentives. I think he's about 4 catches away. He's pretty close to his contracting incentives. And then Chase Claypool, I'm stacking him against Tyler Huntley just because the Ravens secondary has been so awful this season. I could easily see Claypool going for 60 yards and a touchdown today. And I played A.J. Dillon in this lineup too against the Lions. I think A.J. Dillon could easily see 20-plus carries in this game this week. So that's the lineup for me on DraftKings. I'll leave it up on the screen as I answer some more comments on the YouTube Live. And again, in the YouTube Live, you can also see my top 10 rankings for every single position. A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf I'm seeing in the TikTok Live. I'd definitely go A.J. Brown over DK Metcalf, though I do think Russell Wilson's going to end the season strong. A pretty down season for Russell Wilson. Player props. Yeah, so that I have one free player prop pick for you today. I've actually already talked about him a little bit, but there's a lot of player props I like. And I think chasing these contract incentives is a pretty good way to align yourselves with these players in week 18. Again, Stephon Diggs, he only needs 6 more catches to get $250,000 in the bank, but he also needs around 200 yards for another $250K. I think Stephon Diggs' yards total is a pretty good prop this week. I also like Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, guys, he's 60 yards away. Kyle Pitts is 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record. Kyle Pitts was kind of a bust in fantasy football this season, if we're being honest, but he is very close to the all-time rookie receiving record. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I do appreciate it. All right, let's get to some of the YouTube comments in the chat now. Yeah, Kyle Pitts is 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record, and that's held by Mike Ditka set a long time ago. Really appreciate you and the app. Thanks, man. I win today. I win the league. All right, we got some fantasy football championships in week 18. I would not advise, by the way, week 18 fantasy championships, but I knew there would be some of you out there. Mike Evans, Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's really tough to bench Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. I mean, really. I think I told a lot of us to bench him in the finals last week, and usually, I think we were saying that for some pretty other good options, but it's tough to bench Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's at least 15 points 5 straight weeks now. He's honestly probably the safest bet of all these guys. Why Colts minus 14? The Colts need a win. The Colts win and they're in. And if the Colts lose, they're probably out. So I think the Colts destroy the Jaguars. I mean, the Jaguars are so bad. I know that the Jaguars have historically been good against the Colts, but I'm not that worried about it this week. I really am not. If you're a Colts fan, this is a easy win game for the Colts. I started Huntley over Dak SMH. Yeah, that was not a good move, Alex, but I understand the move. And I actually don't think starting Huntley is going to end up being a bad thing for you. I think Huntley's going at least over 20 points this week. Taysom Hill or Huntley? Yeah, the battle of the rushing QBs. I'm going Huntley over Taysom, but I think both can do really well. Keyshawn Vaughn or Damian Harris. You cannot start Damian Harris this week. You just can't do it. It doesn't make sense for the Patriots to push Damian Harris this week, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury since the Bills game, the windy Bills game. That was three or 4 weeks ago now. He's been dealing with that hamstring injury since. It makes too much sense for the Patriots to give Damian Harris as much rest as possible. It honestly will not shock me if Damian Harris has under 5 carries this week. So do not start Damian Harris. And Keyshawn Vaughn is going to see a lot of work. Ronald Jones out of the lineup, Leonard Fournette out of the lineup. It's Le'Veon Bell and Keyshawn Vaughn splitting the work for the Buccaneers today. So I don't hate Keyshawn Vaughn. I would definitely play him over Damian Harris. T. Higgins or Rashad Penny. You can't start any of the Bengals. You can't really start any of the Bengals. Joe Burrow's not playing. T. Higgins is going to barely play in this game, if he plays at all. So Rashad Penny. Tyler Huntley or Justin Herbert. Yeah, let me pull up my QBs. I think you have to start Justin Herbert. The two teams with the clear most to play for are the Chargers and the Raiders. And this is assuming that the Colts win, and they're going to win against the Jaguars. But even if the Colts lose, they're not going to kneel the ball. I don't know if you guys have seen this situation, but if the Colts lose, then on the night game tonight, the Chargers versus the Raiders, if they were to tie, both teams would make the playoffs. So we have this prisoner dilemma situation where they could both kneel the ball every single play and both make the playoffs if the Colts lose today. But first of all, the Colts aren't going to lose today. They're 14-point favorites over the Jaguars. They're probably going to beat them by more than 14. Literally, if the Colts just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor every single play today, they will beat the Jaguars by more than 14. Like, it's a pretty simple formula for the Colts. They're not going to blow it against the Jags, who just got obliterated by the Patriots. The Jaguars are ready for the offseason, guys. But even if that were to happen, the Chargers and the Raiders would not kneel the ball every play. They're both going to just go out and try to win. And I think the Chargers are going to win. They're one of my locks against the spread this week, and I think Justin Herbert has a great game. So I think you have to start Justin Herbert. He's my number 3 ranked QB this week. The only guys I'm starting over Justin Herbert are Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. That's it. FanDuel lineup. I don't have a FanDuel lineup for you, but I would be playing Kyler Murray in FanDuel. I would not be playing Tyler Huntley in FanDuel. He's priced much, much higher. I think Kyler's a really, really good start. Kyler looked back to Kyler Murray form last week, and he gets a great matchup against the Seahawks this week. Kyler Murray could easily score 40 points this week in fantasy. I'm playing Kyler Murray in FanDuel for sure. He's, I think, the highest priced QB on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, all the QBs are priced much closer together. He had 263 yards, 2 TDs last week, and 44 rushing yards too. He's looking back in form. The Cardinals are not a team that I would want to play against in the playoffs. Gronk over 6.5 receptions today, yes or no? Yes, he's going to go over 6.5 receptions. I think he goes over 75 yards. I think he gets close to 10 catches. I would not be shocked if he hits his 10 catches. Again, the incentives for Gronk today, he needs to get 75-plus receiving yards, and he gets $500,000 more from his contract. It's a bonus that he has in his contract. 75 more receiving yards, $500K in the bank for Rob Gronkowski. He also is 10 catches away from another $500K. I think he could hit both of those. I think Brady's going to feed him, especially with no more Antonio Brown in the lineup. It's just even more reason for Rob Gronkowski to get fed. So yeah, I like Gronk over 6.5 receptions. Do you like Justin Jefferson? Yeah, his over-under today is 92.5. I think he's going to go right around 90 yards. I do like Justin Jefferson today. He's a really good matchup for him. Is Pitts playing? Yeah, Kyle Pitts is playing. And he's only 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record set by Mike Ditka. And I think he's going to hit it. I think he's going to get fed. The last time Kyle Pitts played the Saints have actually been pretty good against tight ends this season. But the last time Kyle Pitts played the Saints, 62 receiving yards. Thoughts on Cam Akers? Yeah, guys, Cam Akers is as crazy of a story as Derrick Henry is going to be when he returns in the playoffs and just goes off against defenses like he was doing all season. Cam Akers is an even crazier story than that. Cam Akers tore his Achilles 6 months ago. That's it's a minimum 12-month injury in the past for basically everyone. And even after that, a lot of players struggled to come back from torn Achilles. It's really crazy how fast Cam Akers has come back, and he's playing today. I wouldn't play him on DraftKings or FanDuel or I wouldn't touch any of his props. I don't even know if he has any props. He probably will get under 10 touches in this game. But just the fact that he's playing, I think, is amazing. And I am excited to see what he can do in the playoffs. If there's one prop I would look at for Cam Akers, it's to score a touchdown. Because at the 1 yard line, you gotta believe they're going to give that one to Cam Akers. It's plus 350 on FanDuel for Cam Akers to score a TD. He could easily get a goal line carry today. I'm taking the Pats over the Dolphins. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my picks against the spread for every single game, and you can see my DraftKings lineup on the screen right now. Link to the YouTube live is in the TikTok bio. What's going on with Calvin Ridley? It sounds like Calvin Ridley's going to play next season, but not for the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons had more to do with this Calvin Ridley saga than we realized. But it sounds like Calvin Ridley wants a fresh start away from the Falcons this offseason, and I think he's going to get it. I think we're going to see Calvin Ridley on a different team next season, and I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play all season. I bet he's going to end up being a pretty good fantasy value next year. Kyler or Brady? Yeah, I'm starting Kyler in every situation. The only QB I'm not starting Kyler Murray over is Josh Allen. Josh Allen and the Bills are in a must-win game. The Bills lose and the Pats win, and the Pats win the AFC East. The Bills have a chance at their second straight AFC East title today. Waller or Kittle? Yeah, I think you got to go Kittle. We haven't seen Waller in over a month now. So it's tough to know exactly what type of form Darren Waller is going to be in, but I do think he's going to play. He's a game-time decision for Week 18 against the Chargers, but he got in a limited practice on Thursday. This is the most he's practiced since his injury. But I think Waller plays. I think Darren Waller's going to play. This is a game the Raiders win and they're in. Connor or AJ at flex? Yeah, if you're talking about AJ Brown, then AJ Brown. If you're talking about AJ Green, I think AJ Green too. I don't know how much James Conner is going to play in this game. Chase Edmonds is out. James Conner, though, is also dealing with an injury. Have we confirmed James Conner is even playing? Let me pull this up. He's questionable. The Cardinals can win the NFC East with a win. Chase Edmonds is out. Conner is going to play if he's close to healthy. He's obviously had a huge touchdown upside this season. Honestly, maybe it's James Conner over AJ Green. But I don't think I'd play him over AJ Brown. The Titans need to win too. Huntley or Wentz? Definitely Huntley. Ertz or Pitts? I would go Pitts over Ertz this week. Again, Pitts is 60 yards away. He's 60 yards away from the all-time rookie record. You know that he wants that. Renfrow or AJ Brown? Yeah, I think I'd rock with AJ Brown over Renfrow as well. I know Renfrow's been balling, but especially if Darren Waller's back, you got to temper your expectations for Hunter Renfrow a little bit. Putting $700 today, pick 2 games. So I have 3 locks today. So you can pick 2 of the 3 locks. Pick 2 of the 3 locks. I've had 62% accuracy on the lock picks this season. So I like picking the teams that need to win against teams that their season's already over. And here are some of those teams. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites against the Steelers. I think they win by more than 3.5. The Ravens have an outside shot at the playoffs still, and the Steelers are done. And honestly, it felt like the send-off for Big Ben was last week, where he didn't even play that well. I don't have any confidence in the Steelers offense or the Steelers defense in this game. I mean, their season's over. They have very little to play for. The Ravens, meanwhile, have an outside shot at the playoffs. And I think Tyler Huntley is going to destroy the Steelers today. The other game I like is the Saints against the Falcons. Saints 4-point favorites against the Falcons. This is a similar situation where the Saints, even if they win, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But if they win, they have a chance. So I like the Saints at -4 against the Falcons as well. And then the last game I like is the Chargers tonight against the Raiders. I believe that the Chargers are a significantly better team than the Raiders. You have to take this one with a slight grain of salt because I've been underrating the Raiders really all season. I don't know. I think if you were to look at my accuracy picking against each team, the Raiders might be one of the lowest. But I also really believe that the Chargers being the playoffs is much better for the NFL than the Raiders being the playoffs. And I think the Chargers will win tonight against the Raiders. So those are my 3 favorite picks against the spread today. And all 3 of them are games that the teams in those games have reason to actually try. Like I'm not touching spreads in games where neither team really has much to play for. Huntley or Brady? Yeah, I would go Huntley over Brady. Hey Sam, Kittle or Knox? I play one and the other does better every week. Yeah, it's got to be Kittle though. You have to play Kittle over Knox. 100% you got to play Kittle over Knox. If the Chiefs, the 2 seed, who will they play? We don't know yet. A lot of the seeds are still up for grabs. So it's yet to be seen. If we look at the NFL playoff bracket right now, I can actually turn this around, I think, on the YouTube Live. Let's see here. I think that they could end up playing the Chargers. It's probably going to be the Chargers or the Raiders that they end up playing. If the Chiefs are the 2 seed, which the Chiefs are probably going to be the 2 seed. The Titans, they need to beat the Texans today. The Texans are like the ideal matchup for the Titans, who want to run the ball, who succeeded at running the ball with Deontay Foreman, who's like a poor man's Derrick Henry. He's like 50% of what Derrick Henry is, and that's still very, very good. The Texans are the worst rushing defense in the league. So the Titans are going to get the 1 seed. The Chiefs are probably going to be the 2 seed. And they're probably going to play the Chargers or the Raiders in the first game. RB rankings. Yeah, let me pull my running back rankings this week. The running back rankings are not easy this week. They're not easy this week because Alvin Kamara should be a top 3 running back. But at the same time, I'm nervous about Kamara this week in DFS. The Saints need to win. If they win, they're into the playoffs. If they win, they're into the playoffs. But Kamara's usage has not been great over the last few weeks. It's not been great. He was used much more as a receiver last week, though. So there is that upside for him, which is why he's still a top 3 running back for me this week. Any good player props today? Yeah, so my favorite player prop today is Tyler Huntley. The free prop pick of the day is Tyler Huntley over 40.5 rushing yards. Every single rushing QB that has played against the Steelers this season has gone over 40 rushing yards. Every single one. There's been 3 of them. And then Justin Herbert also rushed for over 60 yards against them. So there's been 3 times that the Steelers have played rushing QBs. 3 times this entire season. QBs that you would think of as rushing QBs. They played Josh Allen in week 1. He rushed for 44 yards. They played Justin Fields in week 9. He rushed for 45 yards. They played Lamar Jackson back in week 13. He rushed for 55 yards. I think Huntley is going to go over 50 yards today. He's averaging 53 yards per game in his four starts. And they set this prop at 40. I don't really understand this line. And again, the Ravens have a lot to play for in this game. The Steelers don't. The Steelers' season ended last week in their last home game. What do you think about A.J. Dillon? I think A.J. Dillon's a pretty interesting DFS play. I'm playing him in my DraftKings lineup this week. It's a great matchup against the Lions, who have been horrible against the run all season, and I think they're going to want to keep Aaron Jones fresh for the playoffs as well. The Packers don't have that much to play for in this game, though, other than getting Aaron Rodgers secured as the MVP, which, guys, Aaron Rodgers is already the MVP. People are making this out to be like way bigger story than it is. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. It's going to happen. Jonathan Taylor over under 118.5 yards. I'm never going to take the under on a Jonathan Taylor prop. So I would go over. I would go over on the JT prop. Is Najee still a safe start? Yeah, he definitely is. He definitely is still a safe start. They're going to, really every single game this season, Najee has been fed. And I don't think it's going to be any different. What do you think about Rashad Penny? Rashad Penny is really making a strong case to head into next season as the lead running back for the Seattle Seahawks. And I think he's going to see another 15-plus carries today. Though, Rashad Penny is one of these guys. Why run Rashad Penny into the ground in Week 18? Rashad Penny has historically bad luck with injuries. He had 25 carries last week against the Lions, put up 32.5 fantasy points. I think we could see something similar out of A.J. Dillon this week. But I don't love Rashad Penny this week against the Cardinals. I do like Russell Wilson, though. I think Russell Wilson's going to end the season on a strong note. Is Devontae a start? Yes. Super Bowl picks, yeah. So my Super Bowl prediction from the start, my Super Bowl prediction from really 3 months ago was the Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. I don't feel as good about the Buccaneers now. Honestly, I almost feel like with the Antonio Brown saga, the Bucs just aren't making it to the Super Bowl. I feel like the saga from Antonio Brown has opened my eyes up to just some turmoil for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that gives me a lot less confidence in them making the Super Bowl. I do still think they have a pretty good chance, though. And I think that their defense will be as healthy as it's ever been. I do not think the Titans are making it to the Super Bowl, though. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. I think the Chiefs are almost definitely making it. I can't see any team in the AFC beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. I can't see a single team doing it. So I'm taking the Chiefs definitely from the AFC. In the NFC, I think it could easily end up being the Packers or the Cardinals. I think it'll probably be the Packers or the Cardinals. We know how bad the Packers are in the NFC Championship, but I think the Cardinals are also being slept on a little bit. They were the top team in the league for a little while, and now they've taken some steps back. I still think the Arizona Cardinals can beat any single team. Do you think the Bengals can make some noise in the playoffs? I think they can, but they're not going to beat the Chiefs. And I think every single team in the AFC playoffs could beat the Bengals. So I won't be surprised if the Bengals win 1 or 2 games, but I would be absolutely shocked if they made it to the Super Bowl. I would be shocked if any team in the AFC made it to the Super Bowl that isn't the Chiefs. Hunter Henry or Jared Cook this week? Yeah, I'd probably rock with Jared Cook. The Patriots have a lot less to play for than the Chargers. Pitts today. Yeah, so Kyle Pitts, guys, he is 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record. And by the way, from a fantasy football standpoint, really quickly, Kyle Pitts was a bust. You drafted a guy that finished 10th in fantasy points per game at the tight end position in like the first 5 rounds if you drafted Kyle Pitts. So he's going to break the all-time rookie receiving yards record, and he was still a bust in fantasy. This is just another data point about why we don't draft rookie tight ends. It's the hardest position to succeed in as a rookie. He's had the best rookie season potentially of all time, and he was still a bust in fantasy because you were drafting him way too early. But Kyle Pitts is the real deal, man. He's going to have an amazing NFL career. But I do think this is another lesson learned this season. Don't draft rookie tight ends, ever, never. Even if they're going to be the best of all time, the price is just too high. A.J. Dillon or Devontae Freeman? Yeah, definitely A.J. Dillon. How do you like Samaje Perine? I don't hate it. Kyle Pitts is 400-plus yards away. He's 60 yards away from the best rookie receiving yard season of all time, which was set by Mike Ditka like 30-plus years ago. Zay Jones or Cyril Grayson? Yeah, got to be Zay Jones. I don't have any faith in Grayson. Chubb or Dillon? It's so tough to trust Nick Chubb at this point. And Walter liked Nick Chubb's prop a lot in their last game, which made a lot of sense. But the workload is clearly being scaled back for Nick Chubb. You just can't trust Nick Chubb. Like, A.J. Dillon's going to touch the ball more than Nick Chubb this week, so you got to go with A.J. Dillon. It's week 18. It's not a normal week. Like, there's so much incentive for the Browns to just rest Nick Chubb and make sure he's healthy going into the offseason. That means so much more for the Browns than Nick Chubb having a good day in week 18. Singletary or Chubb? Definitely Singletary. Again, the Browns have nothing to play for. Nothing to play for today. I would not be surprised if Nick Chubb touches the ball less than 10 times today. Russ, Cousins, or Hill? I would probably rank these guys Russ number 1, Hill number 2, Cousins number 3, but it's close. It's definitely close. If you see my top 10 QBs on the YouTube live, I have it close too. Actually, I have Taysom Hill 1 spot ahead of Russell Wilson. Taysom Hill does have more to play for than Russ today, but I think Russell Wilson's going to end the season on a high note. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 rankings every position. Who wins, Raiders or Chargers? I'm going with the Chargers over the Raiders. Bro, answer me. It says Benton. I always see those comments. I never see the actual question. Is Penny a start? Yeah, he is. Is Pitts a top 5 tight end? I mean, he's not better than Darren Waller, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. I don't think you can argue that he's better than Rob Gronkowski right now. So is he number 5? Maybe. Maybe he's number 5. But probably not. He will be very soon. Yeah, Mark Andrews is better than him too. So there's 5 right there better than him. Kittle, Kelce, Gronk, Andrews. I think he's probably number 6. He's probably number 6. Oh, and Darren Waller. Sorry, yeah. So he's probably number 6. Gronk or Kittle? Yeah, this week I'm going with Gronk. Gronk is very close. Guys, Gronk is going to go off today. He's going to go off. Gronk is very close to a lot of contract incentives today. That's why I'm playing him in my DraftKings lineup. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my DraftKings lineup right on the screen. COVID or OBJ? I'd go OBJ, I guess, over COVID. But no, Gronk is 75 yards away from a $500,000 bonus. And he's 10 catches away from another $500,000 bonus. Gronk gets 10 catches, 75 yards today. He gets $1 million. So, yeah, you align yourself with that incentive with Gronk. Again, he could get $1 million today with 10 catches, 75 yards. The 10 catches are a little unrealistic, but if he has 5 catches in the first half, you better bet Brady's getting him those other 5 catches. Jonathan Taylor over 116.5 yards. Yeah, lock that win. The Colts need to win. The Colts need to win, and they're playing the Jaguars. Jonathan Taylor could literally beat that prop in the first half. Gibson or Swift? I don't feel great about Swift. I feel better about Gibson. But honestly, both guys, like, what is the point for these teams to put their star running back at risk in Week 18? I feel like Gibson, though, is more likely to get touches than Swift. Gibson wasn't on the injury report coming into this game. And he's had at least 13 points for the last 5 weeks. Swift is like, they're going to rest Swift. I would probably go with Gibson. Gibson's also at risk of being rested, though. This is hard. Sony Michel or Rashad Penny. Yeah, I'd go Sony. I'd go Sony over Penny. The Rams have something to play for. The Seahawks really don't. Devin Singletary or Elijah Mitchell this week. Yeah, this one's close. I'd probably go with Elijah Mitchell. But Singletary's been on a tear, and he gets the Jets. And the Jets are the worst run defense in the league. They've allowed the most rushing yards per game to running backs this season. They are actually even worse than the Texans. So I don't hate Devin Singletary. I would probably still go Elijah Mitchell, though. I would probably still go Elijah Mitchell, who has a worse matchup but is better and could easily see more carries than Devin Singletary. So I think I would go Elijah Mitchell. Wide receiver rankings. Yeah, let me pull those up on the YouTube Live where you can see my top 10 rankings, every single position. Guys, we're about an hour and a half away from the last week of football. Thank you so much, by the way, for if you tuned in to any of the lives throughout the season. Thanks for tuning into this one. Really do appreciate the support. If I helped you at all win your fantasy football championship this year, make sure you go submit your story on the winners wall in the WalterPicks app. Link to the app is in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. You can be featured in the app. Tell your story of any time you won this season in DFS, in fantasy, in player props. Let us know. You'll be featured in the app. Pittman Jr. or Brandon Cooks. Yeah, I like both of them this week. I think I like Pittman just a tiny bit more, but I think Cook's props are actually higher than Pittman's. So the props are telling you to just go with Cooks. I would say Pittman though. I like Pittman a little bit more than Cooks. What's the rundown on Green Bay players this week? Start Adams. Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers is playing in this game. Whether he play he's probably not going to play more than a half. But I still think you probably start Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, even if he plays only one half, he's probably going to score a touchdown. He's probably going to have 50 yards. So is there a risk there? Yeah. The player that I feel most confident in on the Packers is A.J. Dillon. But Aaron Rodgers is probably not worth the risk. Devontae Adams is a better risk than Aaron Rodgers. There's no way Aaron Rodgers plays the whole game. And there's probably no way that Devontae Adams plays the whole game. But Devontae Adams can have a good fantasy day in literally just 2 drives. Aaron Rodgers really can't. My season is done, so I can't start him. I just want to know your thoughts overall about Tannehill fantasy-wise or not. Yeah, Tannehill really had a down season. He had a really down season. This was a season where I expected Tannehill to throw a lot more. They went out and they got Julio Jones to pair with A.J. Brown. But at the same time, Kylo, Julio Jones barely played this season. Julio Jones, by the way, is playing today, and he's not on the injury report. This is the first time A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are not on the injury report, so we'll see how Ryan Tannehill does with that. First time in really since the first month of the season that it's been like that. Bucks or Saints defense? Yeah, I think I like the Bucks defense more than the Saints defense. Stafford or Huntley? Yeah, I'm going with Huntley for sure. Why? I'm playing Huntley in my DraftKings lineup. I like Huntley a lot. The Ravens, the Ravens are still in playoff contention. And they're up against the Steelers team whose season ended last week in Big Ben's last home game. I don't think Big Ben's last game is going to be nearly as good for Big Ben's legacy as his last home game was. Start Connor. Yeah, you definitely got to start Connor. Josh Jacobs is in a good spot against the Chargers tonight, too. You want to start all Raiders and Chargers players if you're still in fantasy season. Agumba Wale. Yeah, guys, Agumba Wale cashed for us last week. He cashed for us last week in player props and in DFS. And he ended up scoring a garbage time touchdown, too. And he's gonna lead the Jaguars in touches today, too. So he's not horrible. Just parlay Justin Jefferson's receiving prop and Huntley's rushing prop. Don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I won't be surprised if Justin Jefferson ends the season on a 100-yard day. But his prop was really high. I didn't love his prop, but I do love Tyler Huntley's rushing prop a lot. Again, Tyler Huntley's averaging 53 rushing yards per game in his 4 games that he's played as the starter. And the Steelers have allowed at least 40 rushing yards to every rushing QB they faced. They played 3 rushing QBs. All of them have gone at least 44 rushing yards against them. Yeah, he had a lot of injuries. P. Ryan, Ramondre, or Landry. Welcome to week 18. Definitely not Landry. You can't play Landry. You cannot play Jarvis Landry. No Baker today. Landry's probably not going to play very much either. The Browns are going to be playing their backups pretty much the whole game. Ramondre is interesting, though, because the Patriots do still have something to play for. If the Patriots win and the Bills lose their AFC East title, their AFC East champs, and I think the Pats, with a win, have a chance at a home playoff game. And with a loss, they're almost definitely not getting a home playoff game. And Damian Harris is dealing with a hamstring injury. They have a lot of reasons to rest Damian Harris today. So I don't hate Ramondre. Don't hate Ramondre at all. I think Ramondre's props are also pretty interesting. Ramondre's props right now. There's no receiving and rushing prop set for him, but to score TD, he's at plus 110. Plus 110. Did you guys watch Deontay Foreman against the Dolphins last week? I like Ramondre Stevenson plus 110 over on MGM Sportsbook to score a touchdown today. I think Mondre goes for at least 1 TD. I would probably go with Mondre over P. Ryan. because the Bengals are their whole offense is going to be rested. Odell, Swift, Penny, or Carter, pick two. I would probably go with Odell and Penny. I think I would go with Odell and Penny. It's so tough to know how much Carter is going to play and how much Swift is going to play. Carter got injured last week, but he's back this week. Carter's prop hit actually in the very first drive. His prop last week against the Bucs was like 37.5 rushing yards. He had a 50-yard carry and then got hurt. But he's playing this week. He returned he had a concussion last week. But it's a matchup against a Bills defense that's much worse against the run than they are against the pass. So it's close. It's close. Maybe I would go with Penny and Carter. Maybe I would go with Penny and Carter instead of Odell. A.J. Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can't bench Amon-Ra St. Brown these days. You just can't. It's been too many weeks in a row that Amon-Ra St. Brown has been just tearing apart defenses. You gotta trust Amon-Ra St. Brown. RB rankings, yeah. And I have A.J. Brown ranked ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but just start Amon-Ra St. Brown. Start Amon-Ra St. Brown. Chase or Grayson? Yeah, I would go with Chase over Grayson. Same problem. I have St. Brown in this week. Yeah, you got to start St. Brown. He's been too good, guys. He's been too good. We know what's coming with Among Us St. Brown. What are your favorite props for the day? My favorite prop of the day is Tyler Huntley's rushing prop. Over 40.5 rushing yards is where they set it at. You can actually get it at 37.5 on PrizePicks. Use the code Walter. If you've never used PrizePicks before, use the code Walter. It's a daily fantasy game centered around player props. And they'll match your deposit up to $100 if you use the code Walter when you sign up. But Tyler Huntley's prop, they have set at 37.5. Every single rushing QB against the Steelers has gone over 40 rushing yards this season. And the Ravens have a chance at the playoffs still. It's an outside chance, but there's still a chance. So they're going to be going all out in this game. And the Steelers season ended last week. So for so many reasons, I like Tyler Huntley in DFS this week, and I like his rushing prop a lot. But guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he has gone over 23 fantasy points 4 out of his last 5 games. And he has gone over 15 points in 5 straight. He's had at least 90 yards in 3 consecutive games. He's had at least 11 targets in 4 consecutive games. Everything is going right for Among Us St. Brown. You got to start him. Start Rob Gronkowski. Yes, start Rob Gronkowski. Start Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski is 10 catches away from a $500,000 bonus. He's 75 yards away from another $500,000 bonus. I think Gronk could easily get 10 catches and 75-plus yards today. Hey, Sam, Gronk, McLaurin, Vaughn, or Beasley at flex PPR. I also have Kittle. Honestly, I think it's Gronk. And I usually don't play tight ends when I don't have to, but Gronk is the guy that has the most to gain today. So just align yourself to Gronk today. If you're playing daily fantasy, if you're doing player props, align yourself with Rob Gronkowski. Deontay Foreman or David Montgomery? Yeah, I'm going with Deontay Foreman. I have him ranked one spot ahead of David Montgomery in my rankings, but the Titans need to win today to keep the 1 seed in the bye, and that's big. And they're playing the Texans, the worst or second worst rushing defense in the league. Sam, hire me as your player prop specialist. We will be doing some hiring. WalterPicks will be doing some hiring very soon, probably over the next 2 or 3 weeks as we plan for the offseason and next season. And player prop specialist is actually a position we might be looking for. You can email me if you're actually serious. Is James Conner playing? Yes, James Conner is playing today. Almost definitely. Hey, Sam, I won the championship. Thanks for all your help. That's what I'm talking about, star 4444. And the only thing I ask for you, if I did help you win the championship, go to the WalterPicks app and submit your story to the Winners Wall and be featured in the app. Download the WalterPicks app for free. Link is in the TikTok bio or the YouTube description. See the Winners Wall at the top of the home screen. Tap on that, share your story, and you'll be featured in the app. Play Mike Evans. Yeah, you got to play Mike Evans. Mike Evans is very close to a 1,000-yard receiving season, which he told us last year is something that's important to him. He told us last year in an interview that it's important to him that the 1,000-yard threshold is something that he cares about. So I think Mike Evans will clear that today. He's got 946 yards. He only needs 54 more receiving yards to hit 1,000 yards. So I think Mike Evans easily going over 55 yards today. I think also Gronk is going to clear 75-plus yards. A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson? Yeah, you got to go Justin Jefferson over A.J. Brown. Dillon or Patterson? Cordell Patterson was the unsung hero, the most improved hero, the ideal last round pick of the season in fantasy, but he's really had a bad month, a much worse month than he had really the whole rest of the season. I don't think you can start Patterson with any confidence today. Not a good matchup for him either against the Saints. A.J. Dillon or Singletary. Yeah, Wyatt. Singletary is probably a better option, but I do think A.J. Dillon has a really high ceiling. I think they're pretty comparable, but I would probably go with Singletary. Pick 2, Chubb, Mondre, Mitchell, Hines. It's Mondre and Mitchell. You cannot start Nick Chubb. You just can't start him. He could get under 10 carries today. There's no reason for them to push Nick Chubb in Week 18. With Baker Mayfield also not playing, I expect the Browns to play basically their backups the entire game. Ramondre Stevenson, I'd like to score a touchdown today. That's another prop that I like a lot. It's plus 115 on MGM. Deontay Foreman just destroyed the Dolphins on the ground, and the Pats do have some stuff to play for today. And Damian Harris is dealing with an injury, so I think that they're going to rest Damian Harris. Won't they pull Mike Evans after he gets the yards? They probably will. They probably will. The Buccaneers, they can't go lower than the number 4 seed, but a win this week with a Rams loss could move them up to the number 2 seed, which could give them 2 home games in the playoffs. So there is things to play for the Buccaneers. The Rams lose and the Bucs win. The Bucs are the 2 seed, which means 2 home field games, which is huge. So I think the Bucs will try to get that. But yeah, there's definitely a risk, especially if the Bucs are already leading. There's definitely a risk that they will rest Mike Evans after he gets his 55 receiving yards and hits 1,000 receiving yards in the season. Damian Harris or Terry McLaurin, I do not think you can trust Damian Harris at all this week. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. They're going to want him rested for the playoffs. Thoughts on Cyril Grayson? Yeah, so I'm seeing a ton of Grayson questions. And he did okay last week, filling in for really just the super depleted Buccaneers receiving attack. And there is a chance Mike Evans gets rested today. Cyril Grayson has had back-to-back games with 81 receiving yards. He's going to play a lot today. He's not a horrible option, and he's a pretty good value on DFS. But I wouldn't say that he's a lock. Again, I think Gronk is going to get fed today, the most of anyone on the Buccaneers. Can you show us your DraftKings lineup? Yeah, come to the YouTube Live. Link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio, and you can see my DraftKings lineup on the screen right now, along with the guys that I like the most. I put locks next to the guys that I think you should lock into your lineup. So the guys that I'm playing on DraftKings today, I think you have to play Tyler Huntley against the Steelers. Again, I like him over 40.5 rushing yards a lot, but I also think he's going to have just generally a good fantasy day against the Steelers defense that has nothing to play for. And the Ravens have a chance at the playoffs still. I also like the Deontay Foreman Tennessee Titans defense stack. I think that's my favorite running back defense stack of the week. Deontay Foreman gets a matchup against the Texans in a must-win game. The Titans win this game, they lock in the number 1 seed. They're going to feed Deontay Foreman on the ground against a bottom 2 Texans rushing defense. The receivers I like today, Stephon Diggs. He needs 6 catches to hit his contract incentive. He's also like 220 yards away from another contract incentive. But he gets 6 catches today. He gets $250,000 in the bank from a bonus in his contract. And the last time Stephon Diggs played the Jets, he had his best game of the season, 162 yards on 13 targets. And the Bills need to win today to win the AFC East and to secure some home field advantage in the playoffs. So I think Stephon Diggs is a massive day. Another guy that is in contention for some big bonuses is A.J. Green. A.J. Green also is 10 catches, 75 yards away from $500,000 in bonuses. I don't think 10 catches is very realistic for Gronk or for A.J. Green, but the 75 yards that both those guys need to get a lot of money is definitely within reach. And it's something their quarterbacks know about. Kirk or Moore? Yeah, definitely Kirk. You can't trust Rondo Moore. I'm assuming you mean Rondo Moore. Just emailed you. Thank you. I respond to all emails, so I will get back to you. Kirk or Pirine? It's tough to trust Samaje Perine. I don't love Samaje Perine this week. I don't love anyone on the Bengals. The Bengals are going to be playing their entire second unit. It's really tough to get excited about Samaje Perine, who's probably going to get 20 touches. Like he's probably going to get 20 touches in this game as the Bengals just like grind out the clock. But Perine's also just not that good, guys. He's not that good. He lacks speed and agility. He's kind of like a poor man's Jordan Howard. That's how I would describe Samaje Perine. So no, I don't feel great about P. Ryan. I think I would go Kirk, who actually has something to play for. Like I like Christian Kirk and AJ Green today. Can we trust A-Rod this week? No. You can't trust Aaron Rodgers. Like, why would he play more than half? He already is going to win the MVP. Guys, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play today and Tom Brady throws for 400 yards, Aaron Rodgers is still the MVP. He's winning it. He's winning it. And I think he knows that. And I think the Packers know that. And I don't think they care enough about the MVP to play Aaron Rodgers for a full game because that's really the only reason they would play. P. Ryan or DeAndre Swift? Yeah, I think I would go Swift. Again, I'm nervous about Swift. It feels like there's not very much reason for the Lions to play Swift. I can't get excited about Samaje Perine. I can't get excited about it. All right, let's see some updated news. Week 18 is always the craziest week of the NFL season. And there's usually some late news that affects things drastically. So let's catch up on the news really quickly. If you're thinking about using a Jets wide receiver in fantasy today, we got a source saying do not do it. The Jets plan to run a ton in windy conditions. Windy conditions in the Jets game. Let's do a quick weather update here. The Jets are up against the Bills, and there's supposed to be 19-mile-an-hour winds. 19-mile-an-hour winds in the Jets-Bills game. Up to 20 miles an hour potentially later in the game. It's going to be cold. There might be some snow at kickoff in the Bills-Jets game. I still think Stephon Diggs is going to get his 75 yards that he needs, though. I'm pretty sure Diggs had like 50 yards in like the 50-mile-an-hour wind game, too, against the Pats. But it's tough to trust any of the Jets receivers. It's always tough to trust the Jets receivers, though. So I don't think that changes much. But it might give you a little bit more confidence in starting Michael Carter this week. Officially inactive, T. Higgins, inactive. Aaron Jones, inactive. Penei Sewell, inactive. Kareem Hunt, inactive. T. Higgins is out. Aaron Jones is out. Another vote of confidence in A.J. Dillon there. Kareem Hunt is out. I still don't think you can trust Nick Chubb, though. I still do not think you can trust Nick Chubb. Jamar Chase is playing. Jamar Chase is playing. And I feel like he's going to be fed the ball in this game. Let me pull up the latest on Jamar Chase because T. Higgins is not playing. Joe Burrow is also not playing. But Jamar Chase is playing. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I do think he's within reach of some records. So Jamar Chase is just 12 yards away from the Bengals single-season receiving yards record. So he's going to get that, which was set by Chad Ochocinco Johnson, back in 2007. But he's a risky DFS option. Like, he only needs 12 yards. I don't think he's anywhere near the rookie record, all-time rookie record. So he's probably going to get his 12 yards on, like, the first drive, and then he's probably not going to play again the rest of the game. That's the latest on Jamar Chase. The only chance that doesn't happen is if the Bengals really, really want Jamar Chase to lock in Rookie of the Year. But I think he's already won that too. Like I think the awards are not going to be very impacted in Week 14. I think Jamar Chase wins Rookie of the Year. I think Aaron Rodgers wins MVP. Hey, Sam, Rashad Penny or Sony Michel and Hunter Renfrow or Michel/Penny in the flex. Yeah, Renfrow is not as good of an option this week with Darren Waller likely returning. But I still think I would play him over Rashad Penny. I think I would go Sony Michel and Hunter Renfrow here. Penny or A.J. Dillon. So no Aaron Jones today. I would go with A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones is out. Akers or P. Ryan. Yeah, don't start Akers. How do you feel about Devin Singletary against the Jets? I like him a lot this week. Going into next year will be really interesting because he really has secured the lead running back role, and he's really not that old. So I have a feeling I'm going to like him going into next season, but I don't love or hate players in fantasy. I love or hate their costs in the draft. So we got to wait and see where Devin Singletary is drafted next season. But he's really ending the season on a really encouraging note. He's had over a 70% snap share in every single game in the past month. And he's looked much better than Zach Moss too. So there's a chance that he's a steal in fantasy drafts next season. How do you feel about A.J. Brown? I feel pretty good about him. Julio Jones is playing this week, but A.J. Brown is going to continue to be fed. The Titans feed their best players. The only concern about A.J. Brown this week is they're playing the Texans, who have a bottom 2 rushing defense. So they might just be able to feed Deontay Foreman to another easy update. Any weather updates? Yeah, so I part-time as a weather reporter on these live streams. One of my favorite parts of the streams. There is some weather to be watching out for today. There's going to be a little bit of rain in the Ravens and Steelers game. Even more reason to like the Tyler Huntley rushing prop over 40.5 rushing yards. Lock that one in, guys. Lock that one in. Took down the championship this year, Todd. That's what I'm talking about, man. If you did win, if I helped you win your championship or the WalterPicks app helped you win your championship, go to the WalterPicks app. Link is in the TikTok bio and the YouTube description. Submit your story on the winner's poll. It's right at the top of the home screen, and you can be featured in the app. That's all I ask for you if I helped you win your championship. So there's going to be wind in the Bills and Jets game, 19 miles an hour. So it doesn't hit our 25-mile-an-hour threshold that we really care about. But there's going to be gusts likely over 25 miles an hour in that game. You can't start any Jets receivers. I still think Stephon Diggs is going to go off. He needs 75 yards today and 6 catches for $1 million in bonuses or $500,000 in bonuses. He's really close to a lot of money in bonuses. I think he goes over 75 yards. I think he goes over 6 catches. Sorry, correction there. He needs 6 catches for $250K in a bonus. But his prop is at 6.5. I think that I like his receiving yards prop more, even though the incentive he has is actually the catches. Another guy with a lot of incentives today, Rob Gronkowski, is 75 yards away and 10 catches away from $1 million in incentives. $500K each for each of those incentives for Gronk. The Buccaneers are playing at home in really the nicest weather day of any game. The nicest weather game of the day. 82 and sunny, no wind. Really a great day to play some football in Tampa Bay for Rob Gronkowski and for Tom Brady. And the Bucs have reasons to try in this game. If the Buccaneers win and the Rams lose, the Bucs secure 2 home field games in the playoffs. And the Rams play at the same time as them. The only other games with wind today, there is some wind in the Bengals-Browns game. 17 miles an hour worth of wind. Not really anything to be super concerned about, but there is some wind. So there's going to be some light snow and some wind in the Jets game, though. Probably the worst weather game of the day is the Jets game. All the other games seem pretty fine. And there's a lot of dome games. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dome games today. So not much to report on the weather other than the Jets. The Jets-Bills game will have some weather impact. Stephon Diggs or Mike Evans? I'd go Diggs over Evans. Evans needs 55 yards to hit the 1,000 receiving yard mark, which he already has told us in the past, like he cares about that. Evans wants, I think it's going to be his 7th straight 1,000-yard season. He cares about that. But once he hits 55 yards, I'm not sure how much he's going to play. But again, the Buccaneers actually do have some stuff to play for today. If they win and the Rams lose, and the Rams are only 3.5 point favorites against the 49ers, who also have a lot to play for today. They might keep Mike Evans in there, depending on his health. If the 49ers win, they're into the playoffs. The 49ers win and they're in. They could still get in with a loss. But if they lose, they need the Falcons to win, which I don't think is going to happen. And I don't think they're going to bank on the Falcons winning. So the 49ers need to win. But the Rams also kind of need to win. If the Rams don't win and the Buccaneers win, then the Buccaneers jump the Rams in the NFC and they get the 2 seed and they get 2 home field games in the playoffs. So the 49ers and Rams have a lot to play for, but the 49ers have even more to play for than the Rams. And the Buccaneers also have a lot to play for based on that game. Top 10 tight ends. Yeah, let me pull up my top 10 tight ends on the YouTube Live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. Link to the YouTube Lives in the TikTok bio. In the YouTube Live, you get my top 10 rankings, every position, my favorite picks against the spread, and my DraftKings lineup all on the screen. What are your thoughts about starting Davante Adams? Yeah, so a lot of people wondering about Davante Adams. The thing about Davante Adams, his ceiling is significantly capped because he's not going to play more than half. He still has an okay floor, though, because Aaron Rodgers is going to play at least a few drives. Even if Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers just play one half, Davante Adams could finish as a top 20 receiver this week. He's going to score a touchdown, 80 yards in a half. Very possible. So the floor, I think, is still there for Adams, but the ceiling's not. Do I start A.J. Dillon? Yeah, I do like A.J. Dillon. Amon-Ra or Keenan Allen? I think you kind of have to play Keenan. Gibson, Renfro, or Dillon. Yeah, I would rank those guys in reverse order. Dillon, then Renfro, then Gibson. There's really not much incentive for Washington this week. McLaurin or Lazard, I'd probably go Terry McLaurin. Sam, you pulled my question but didn't answer. My bad. Let me scroll back up here, Tad. Gibson, Jamar Chase, Waddle, Penny, or Stevenson. Yeah, so I think I would go. You can't start Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is 12 yards away from the all-time Bengals receiving record. But like after he gets that, there's no Joe Burrow today. They aren't playing T. Higgins. Both those guys are just inactive today. There's a lot of signs pointing to Jamar Chase getting rested after he breaks that record. So I don't think you can start him. I think you go with the last two guys here, honestly. I think you go with Rashad Penny and Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson is the guy, honestly, I have the most confidence in. Waddle is 3 catches away from the reception rookie record. And I think I could still see Waddle playing the whole game. But after that, again, there's not much reason for the Dolphins to be playing Jalen Waddle. Renfro or Mooney or Devontae Adams. Yeah, I think I'd probably still go with Adams. Can you please pick one, Waddle or Cooks? Yeah, I'd go Cooks over Waddle. So yeah, Tad, I think I would go with Penny and Stevenson here. Because I don't have a lot of faith in those other guys even playing a lot after they hit their incentives. Or Gibson really there's such little reason to play. Devontae Adams or Mooney, championship today. Yeah, Regan, this is why you don't do your fantasy football championship in week 18. You're going to have to bench Devontae Adams for Darnell Mooney. I would still play Adams over Mooney. Again, I think Devontae Adams could easily score 15 points, even if he just plays a half. Sam, need some help. Elijah Mitchell or Gibson? Definitely, Brad, I'd go Elijah Mitchell over Gibson. And Herbert or Kyler? I'm playing Kyler over Herbert. Both guys have a lot to play for today. Herbert has even more to play for than Kyler. But I'm still going with Kyler Murray over Justin Herbert. The Arizona Cardinals can win the NFC West. If the Rams lose, the Cardinals can win the NFC West. I think the Cardinals will be going all out in this game against the Seahawks. And it's a good matchup for them against Seattle. Pitts or Ertz? It's got to be Pitts, man. Kyle Pitts is 60 yards away. From the all-time rookie record. He's 60 yards away from Mike Ditka's receiving yards record as a rookie tight end. Penny or Stevenson for RB2? I'm rocking with Stevenson pretty hard today. I like him to score a touchdown. I like that prop a lot, by the way. He's at plus odds. Ramondre Stevenson's at plus odds to score a TD. Guys, I don't think Damian Harris is going to play very much, if at all, today. I don't think he's going to play very much, if at all. He's been struggling with a hamstring injury, and Ramondre Stevenson's been very effective. So I think Ramondre Stevenson scores a touchdown, and he's 80-plus yards today against the Dolphins. Mike Evans or Mooney, I think I'd go Evans over Mooney. The Buccaneers do have some things to play for today. All right, so some quick headlines before I get back to some of the comments. Jared Goff is playing today against the Packers, but Penei Sewell is not. So good luck, Jared Goff. Kareem Hunt is also out, as well as Aaron Jones. Kareem Hunt and Aaron Jones are both out. Nick Chubb still isn't going to get very much work. We saw it last week. Like, they're going to limit him to maximum 15 touches. Maximum. Could be lower than 10. Dearness Johnson's probably going to lead the Browns in touches today. A.J. Dillon is definitely a good start against the Lions as well. Antonio Gibson is active this week, as is Deontay Johnson. Another guy that's returning for the Colts, one of my favorite low-key players, is Paris Campbell, is back for the Colts. It'll be interesting to see if he has any role. T. Higgins is not playing today. Neither is Joe Burrow. I think Jamar Chase plays just a tiny bit, and then he gets benched. He's 12 yards away from the all-time Bengals receiving record. Stevenson or Dillon? I think I would go A.J. Dillon over Stevenson. Because we know for sure Aaron Jones is not playing. He's inactive. We don't know for sure Damian Harris isn't playing. Like, maybe Damian Harris is healthier than I realized. I got my picks against the spread on the screen right now in the YouTube Live. Again, link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio. If you are watching live on YouTube, guys, hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Is Waller playing? He's a game time decision, but I think he's going to play. I do think he's going to play. AJ Green. Yeah, AJ Green is 75 yards away from a $250,000 bonus. He's also 10 catches away from another $250,000 bonus. I like AJ Green this week. Tyler Higbee or Hunter Henry? I think I would go Higbee over Henry. Thoughts on James Conner? Yeah, he's got huge touchdown upside. We've seen it all season. With no Chase Edmonds in the lineup, you gotta like James Conner. I'm in a ship in my league. Should I play Josh Allen or Derek Carr? It's gotta be Josh Allen. And should I worry about Deontay Johnson not playing the entire game? Thanks for your help. Yeah, you can worry about it, but you still kind of have to start him. I would go Josh Allen and Deontay Johnson. I don't know who your other options are, but that's who I would go with. Keenan or Singletary? Singletary's in a very good spot against the Jets. I think you kind of have to go with Singletary. Taysom Hill or Huntley? I like Huntley more than Taysom Hill. I like both. They both are in similar situations. Both the Saints and the Ravens have outside shots at the playoffs. And they're both in good matchups against teams that have nothing to play for. Both Taysom Hill and Tyler Huntley. But I like Tyler Huntley a little bit more. I like Tyler Huntley just a little bit more than Taysom Hill this week. Thanks, Sam. Love you, bro. I appreciate it. Michelle or Dillon or Stevenson? I think I would say AJ Dillon number 1, Sony Michelle number 2, Stevenson number 3. But I like all three of them. I like Stevenson a lot. So here's my DraftKings lineup on the YouTube live. I'm locking in Tyler Huntley to every lineup. I'm also locking in Deontay Foreman and the Titans defense to every single line. Against the Texans, the Titans win and they get a bye. This is a huge game for the Titans. And it's a perfect matchup for them. And Deontay Foreman has been cooking. Over 100 rushing yards in 2 of his last 3 games. Mike Williams or Terry McLaurin? Yeah, I'd go Mike Williams. Like in general, if I have to decide in a close decision between a player that has something to play for today and a player that has nothing to play for today, I'm going with the player with something to play for. That's Mike Williams, not Terry McLaurin. Is Bateman a good stack with Huntley? He's not a great stack with Huntley, but he's definitely a cheap stack with Huntley. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I forget what his price is on DraftKings, but I don't hate it. It's probably going to be that's going to be a low ownership stack too, which is good in tournaments. Hunter Renfrow or Deebo Samuel? Yeah, I'd rock with Deebo. Over Hunter Renfrow. Again, I think Darren Waller returning is not going to be good for Hunter Renfrow. James Conner or Rashad Penny? Probably Conner. Probably James Conner. Kendrick Bourne or Alan Lazard? I think I would go Bourne over Lazard. Start Ayuk or Marquise Brown? Ayuk the Bazooka had a tale of 2 seasons, man. I think I would go Marquise Brown still. Again, I think the Ravens just have a lot to play for. The 49ers do too, though. The 49ers win and they're in. But it's not a great matchup for Brandon Ayuk. It is a pretty good matchup for Marquise Brown. So I think I would go Hollywood Brown over Brandon Ayuk. You got me to the ship last week in 1 league, but my office league decided to play through week 18. That's brutal, Alex. And by the way, Alex, if I helped you get to your championship, win your fantasy league, go to the WalterPicks app, submit your story to the winners wall. You could be featured in the app. That's my only ask for you. That's it. I appreciate it. I'm pumped that you won. And by the way, everyone that won your fantasy league this season, we're going back to back next season. All right, Swift Gibson, Keyshawn Vaughn, or Michael Carter. I think it's Michael Carter. That the Jets game is the worst weather game of the day. I think you go Michael Carter. The Bills' pass defense is also much better than their run defense. St. Brown or Evans or Brandon Cooks? It's got to be St. Brown, man. You can't be benching Amon-Ra St. Brown at this point in the season. He's had over 23 fantasy points 4 of his last 5 games. He's gotten over 15 points 5 straight. He's had 90-plus yards 3 straight games. Among us, St. Brown is balling, man. And you got to trust him now. Big Ben or Kirk Cousins? I mean, neither. Honestly, neither. I would probably go with Cousins, though. Cole Kmet or Gerald Everett? Yeah, I'd go Kmet over Gerald Everett. A.J. Brown or Sony Michel? Probably Sony, Michael. Sony is definitely safer than A.J. Brown. Thank you for the gifts in the TikTok live. I appreciate it. What's the news on Adams? Yeah, so Adams is playing, as is Aaron Rodgers. I don't think either of them is going to play more than a half, though. I would think it would be surprising to see either of them play more than a half. Especially because they can beat the Lions without Aaron Rodgers and without Devontae Adams. All right, so we're just getting a report that Darren Waller, who is going to be a game time decision tonight in Sunday Night Football, he is going to be active. He is going to be active. So Darren Waller is playing. He's been sidelined since Thanksgiving. And I think this is a bump down for Hunter Renfrow, who's really balled out in Darren Waller's absence. AJ Green or OBJ? I'm going AJ Green, man. You think Bengals winning? Probably not. They're not playing anybody. That game, I have no idea who's winning that game. The Bengals are not playing a single player. But the Browns also aren't going to be playing anyone. That's the worst game, I think, of the day. I think that's like one of the few games that really just does not matter at all. Same thing with the Vikings and the Bears game. The Vikings, Bears, Bengals, Browns, all four of those teams, I mean, just nothing to play for. Nothing to play for. Knox, Pitts, or Freiermuth. Yeah, I think you go with Pitts, man. He's 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record. I think he gets fed today. I really think they force Kyle Pitts the ball today, more so than they have all season. DJ Moore. Yeah, I don't hate DJ Moore this week. Titans or Colts defense. I like the Titans defense a lot. I like the Colts defense, obviously, too, against the Jags. But I like the Titans defense stacked with Deontay Foreman. I like the Colts defense stacked with Jonathan Taylor. But in DFS, the Deontay Foreman Titan stack is just way cheaper. It's just way cheaper. The Deontay Foreman and Titans defense stack. My favorite cheap flex. So I don't hate Grayson for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's had 81 yards back-to-back games now. I think he's an interesting deep flex in DFS. Cyril Grayson is his name. I think he's a pretty good deep flex. I also don't hate Zay Jones. I know he's not on the main slate, but Zay Jones has quietly been balling too. Though again, with Darren Waller back, you got to bump down expectations for Zay Jones and Hunter Renfrow. Should I start Keyshawn Vaughn or Le'Veon Bell? Yeah, I like Keyshawn Vaughn more than Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell has been confirmed washed for several years now. Deontay Foreman, Devontae Adams, A.J. Dillon, or Hunter Renfrow pick two. Yeah, it's Deontay Foreman and it's A.J. Dillon. It's definitely those two. Zay Jones or Tyler Lockett, I'd go Lockett. I'd go Michael Carter over Cordell Patterson. Cyril Grayson, like cereal. Cyril Grayson. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm horrible with pronunciation. Cyril Grayson. Should we call him Cyril Grayson? I don't know if that's right. Please answer actual fantasy, Titans or Colts D. Yeah, if it's not DFS, then I think you go Colts over the Titans. If it's normal fantasy league, I would go the Colts defense over the Titans defense. AJ Brown or Sony. Yeah, I'm going Sony Michel over AJ Brown. Guys, we got like 20 minutes left in the live stream. I'm going to be wrapping up a tiny bit earlier today. Emmanuel quickly is in the YouTube live asking for the prop pick. I got you, man. The free prop pick today is over 40.5 rushing yards. It's over 40.5 rushing yards for Tyler Huntley. To get the rest, there's 5 more props in the WalterPicks app today. I like all of them a lot. But this is my favorite. Tyler Huntley over 40.5 rushing yards. To get the rest of the player prop picks, head over to the WalterPicks app. It's completely free to download. Link is in the TikTok bio and the YouTube description. We're on Google Play for Android, and we're on the iOS App Store for iPhones. But guys, Tyler Huntley's going over 40.5 rushing yards today, almost definitely. There's been 3 rushing QBs that have played against the Steelers this season. Josh Allen back in week 1, 44 rushing yards. Justin Fields back in week 9, 45 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson back in week 13, 55 rushing yards. Huntley's averaging 53 rushing yards per game in his 4 starts. He's had at least 40 yards in all of those games. I think they set this prop 10 yards too low. So that's why I'm going with Tyler Huntley. And I like Tyler Huntley more than Taysom Hill this week. Gronk or Kittle, it's got to be Gronk, man. Gronk is very close to a lot of money. He's very close to a lot of money today. 75 yards, and Gronk gets another $500,000 from his contract. He gets 10 catches. He gets another $500,000. Gronk is within reach of $1 million in incentives today. So I think you should be aligning yourself with that in fantasy, in DFS, and in player props. And obviously Tom Brady knows about this as well. Singletary or Stevenson? I think I like Singletary more than Stevenson. I don't think I'd play Gronk over Andrews, though. I wouldn't play Gronk over Andrews. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 rankings every position. I have Gronk as my number 2 tight end behind Mark Andrews. Number 2 behind Mark Andrews. Knox or Gesicki. Yeah, I have Knox one spot ahead of Gesicki. They're certainly close, but I think I would go Knox. The Bills do have something to play for today. Penny, Mitchell, or Foreman. Yeah, it's Foreman or Mitchell for me over Penny. I think I would probably go with Mitchell, but certainly Foreman's in a really good spot. I would not knock you for going Foreman over Mitchell. And I actually have, if you look at my top 10 running backs, I have Mitchell 2 spots ahead of Foreman. So personally, I'm going Mitchell. Mitchell's better than Foreman. He's probably going to see a similar workload. He doesn't have as good of a matchup, but I'm leaning towards the talent here with Mitchell. Derek Carr or Huntley? Yeah, I'm going Huntley over Carr for sure. I have Huntley as my number 6 QB. There's only 5 QBs that I have ranked ahead of Huntley, and one of them, Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be trusting at all. So I have Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady over Huntley, and that's it. Then I'm playing Huntley. Bell or Harris? Yeah, if that's Damian Harris, it's Bell. You can't start Damian Harris this week. I really won't be surprised if he gets under 5 carries. I hate how fantasy leaders chose to play round 2 for, you shouldn't be playing your fantasy championship this week. You just shouldn't. There's just too many good players not playing. All right, really quickly, before we head to the best part of the live stream, the witching hour of the WalterPicks Sunday morning live stream, where we wrap up on YouTube Live and I go rapid fire and answer basically every single comment I possibly can. I want to just go through game by game really quickly, my pick against the spread and like what's at stake in this game. So first of all, the biggest game of the day is tonight, Chargers versus Raiders. Whoever wins is in. Whoever wins is in. I don't want to talk about the weird tie situation because they're not going to kneel the ball and tie, even if the Colts lose, and the Colts aren't going to lose. So win and in for the Chargers versus the Raiders. It's basically the first playoff game of the season. The 49ers versus the Rams. There's a lot at stake in this game too. The 49ers win and they're in. If they lose, they need the Falcons to beat the Saints to get in, and that's not going to happen, most likely. So the 49ers need to win. They're 3.5 point underdogs in that game. I still think the Rams win that game because the Rams need to win too. The Rams win, and they secure 2 home field games in the playoffs. If the Rams lose, then the Buccaneers will have a chance at 2 home field games in the playoffs if they win their game. So there's stuff to play for the Buccaneers for that reason too. And home field advantage matters, and these teams care about home field advantage. The Colts at the Jaguars. The Colts win. The Colts win, and they're in. The Colts win, and they're in. If the Colts lose, then I think they're out. I think the Colts are out if they lose. So it's a win and in for the Colts at the Jaguars. They're massive favorites, 14-point favorites. And guys, if the Colts just give the ball to Jonathan Taylor every single play, like they're gonna beat the Jaguars by more than 14 points. It's a pretty easy formula for the Colts today. So the Colts, 14-point favorites, they win and they're into the playoffs. The Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. So the Steelers actually do have a small, slim hope at the playoffs. But the Ravens actually have a better slim chance at the playoffs than the Steelers. And I think that the Steelers are going to get obliterated in Big Ben's last game. I think the Steelers season really ended last week. Saints will beat Rams first round of playoffs. Remember this. Yeah, so the Saints, we're about to get to the Saints game, but the Saints have playoff hopes too. So the Ravens, if the Ravens win, they have a slim chance. They need a lot of help, but they have a slim chance to get in. I think the Ravens beat the Steelers. That's one of my locks against the spread today. They're 3.5 point favorites against the Steelers. I think Tyler Huntley goes over 40 rushing yards with ease, and he's my favorite DFS quarterback of the week on DraftKings as well. The Saints at the Falcons. So the Saints, if the Saints win and the 49ers lose, they're in. If the Saints win and the 49ers lose, they're in. And the 49ers are underdogs. So the Saints have a real shot at the playoffs. A very real shot at the playoffs. I'm not really sure how we got here. No, the Ravens are technically not eliminated. Neither the Ravens nor the Steelers are technically eliminated. They're both, like, even if either team wins, they're almost definitely still going to not make it. But there's a lot of things that can happen for both the Steelers and the Ravens that they could still get in. So the Saints win, 49ers lose, and the Saints are in. So I'm taking the Saints against the Falcons. That's another one of my locks. They're 4-point favorites. The Saints are going to beat the Falcons today. The Titans against the Texans. So now we're not into playoff, like, in or out scenarios, but instead bye week and home field advantage, which does matter. The Titans at the Texans, they just need to win. The Titans win, and they get their first round bye. They get the 1 seed in the first round bye. It's a perfect matchup for the Titans. The Texans have a bottom 2 rushing defense this season. I think Deontay Foreman's going to eat. And I'd like the Deontay Foreman Tennessee Titans stack for that exact reason. The Bills at the Jets. So if the Bills lose today and the Patriots win, the Pats win the AFC East. And they get some home field advantage perks too in the playoffs. So the Bills are going to go all out against the Jets. They're 14-point favorites against the Jets. I still like the Bills to cover that spread, but it's close. The Patriots at the Dolphins, same thing. The Patriots have reasons to win today. Even if the Bills win, a Patriots win could give them a home field playoff game. And a loss would guarantee no home field playoff games. So the Patriots do have some things to play for. I expect the Patriots to sit Damian Harris still, though, who's dealing with a hamstring injury. Like, he's going to play, but I don't think he's going to play much, which is why I like Ramondre Stevenson this week for the Pats. The Cardinals versus the Seahawks. Again, the Cardinals have a chance at winning. If the Rams lose and the Cardinals win the NFC West. I like Kyler Murray a lot today against the Seattle Seahawks. I like Russell Wilson too. I think Russell Wilson's going to end the season on a high note. The Buccaneers, they can't go lower than the 4 seed, but if they win and the Rams lose, the Bucs get the number 2 seed, and that means home field advantage until the NFC Championship, at least. So the Bucs have some stuff to play for too. All right, the teams that are resting their starters, the Bengals and the Browns, don't start any of those guys with confidence. Samaje Perine's going to lead the Bengals in touches. Dearness Johnson's probably going to lead the Browns in touches. I don't feel good about either of those guys. But, I mean, Samaje Perine to me is just a not very talented player. I wouldn't be starting Samaje Perine with that much confidence, even though he's probably going to get 20-plus touches. And I have no idea who's going to win. I'm taking whoever is getting points in that game. I'm just taking the underdog. The Packers at the Lions. So Aaron Rodgers is playing. But he might not play more than a drive. He's almost definitely not going to play more than a half. Devontae Adams, you can start him because he can still score a touchdown and get 80 yards in literally just one half. But other than Devontae Adams, A.J. Dillon's the only guy you can trust. Jared Goff is playing though, and so is DeAndre Swift. And that's the games. Those are the games and what matters. So really, there's only a couple games where like nothing matters at all. All right. We are going towards the last 15 minutes of the live. Anyone's championship that is this week needs to find a new commissioner. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Gronk gonna have a good week. Yeah, Gronk is gonna have a good week, guys. Gronk is 10 catches away from a $500,000 bonus. And he's 75 yards away from another $500,000 bonus. He could secure $1 million in the bank today with a 10-catch, 75-yard performance. And Brady knows that. So, yeah, I do think that Gronk has a good game today. And the other guys that I think are going to hit their incentives today, Stephon Diggs, he needs 6 catches to hit 100 catches on the season and cash in $250,000 in incentives. That's happening today as well. I like Stephon Diggs prop over 75 receiving yards. I think he goes over 75 receiving yards because he needs at least 6 catches today. I also think Kyle Pitts is going to break the rookie tight end record. He needs 60 yards to do it. I think he's going to get force-fed the ball to break the all-time rookie receiving yards record for tight ends, which was set by Mike Ditka. The last guy that has big incentives today is A.J. Green. A.J. Green has a similar spot to Rob Gronkowski. 10 catches and 75 yards for A.J. Green today, and he could cash in on $500,000 in bonuses. I think he's going to hit that 75 yards today. But my free prop pick of the day is actually Tyler Huntley, over 40.5 rushing yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Brandon Cooks. You just can't bench Amon-Ra, man. You can't bench Amon-Ra. All right, we're heading towards the witching hour where wins become losses and losses become wins. This is when it really happens, guys. When you lock in your final decisions, whether you're in the fantasy championship today or playing on DraftKings and FanDuel. I always wrap up my live streams on YouTube. Link to the YouTube live is in the TikTok bio. It's a little easier for me to pull up comments on the YouTube live, and I can show my top 10 rankings every position, as well as my picks against the spread. So come on over to the YouTube live if you want to get your final questions answered. If you aren't going to join the YouTube live, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and good luck this Sunday. All right, we are live only on YouTube now. The best part of the live stream, guys. Thanks so much for the support this season. Seriously, I do appreciate it. We are in the last 15 minutes of the last regular season live stream. Of course, I'll be live throughout the playoffs as well. Fantasy championship today, Rashad Penny, Elijah Mitchell, or Deontay Foreman. Yeah, I would probably go with Elijah Mitchell over Foreman, but it's close. A.J. Dillon or Nick Chubb, you cannot start Nick Chubb today. You cannot start Nick Chubb. Gotta be A.J. Dillon. PPR, you got me to the chip, Robbie. That's what I'm talking about, man. Adams, McLaurin, or Mike Williams. Yeah, honestly, I think it's Mike Williams. He's the only one here that actually has something to play for today. Diggs or Renfro, I would go Diggs for sure over Renfro. Penny or Adams, I'm going Penny over Adams. Freeman, Patterson, or Stevenson. Yeah, I think I would rank these guys in reverse order here. I think Stevenson's number one. Again, I do not expect Damian Harris to play much. in this game. I would be surprised if Damian Harris had more than 10 carries. Can you show your top 10 wide receivers, Dylan? Pull those up. So I have Devontae Adams at number 2 here, but that's of course assuming that he plays the whole game, and I don't think he's going to play the whole game. I would play him over Devontae Parker too, though. Like, he still has an okay floor. I still think Devontae Adams can get 80 yards and a touchdown even if he only plays a half. I would play Grayson over P. Ryan. I don't like P. Ryan. Zay Jones or Cyril Grayson, I'd go Grayson over Zay Jones too. A.J. Brown or Metcalf, I'd go A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's over-under today is 70.5 receiving yards. DK Metcalf's is like 52.5. So I'd go A.J. Brown. Chase needs 45 yards to break the rookie record. Yeah, so he's 12 yards away from the Bengals all-time record. He's about 45 yards away from the rookie record. But he's not going to play after that. So, like, what's his real ceiling and floor? You know, like, if he gets 50 yards, he's probably done. But I think they will, like, they're only playing him because of that. Like, T. Higgins isn't playing. Joe Burrow's not playing. You think Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are going to help the Ravens get in? No, I don't think the Jaguars or Texans win today. But it would be exciting. It would be exciting. I have Mike Williams, Saquon, A.J. Brown on my bench. Who do I start over Chubb at flex? Probably A.J. Brown. It's probably A.J. Brown. I think I would start A.J. Brown over Chubb. And over Mike Williams. Claypool, Lockett, or Jamar Chase. You can't start Jamar Chase. You can't do it. You can't start Jamar Chase. It's Claypool or Lockett, and I'd probably go with Lockett. Against the Cardinals. I think that game could turn into a shootout. I think Russell Wilson's going to want to end the season on a high note, too. I think Russell Wilson plays the whole game today. Burkhead or Vaughn. Yeah, Burkhead has really secured like a workhorse role. He actually just got an extension for next season, too. But it's not a good matchup against the Titans. The Titans have been second best against running backs this season. So I think I would go with Keyshawn Vaughn over Rex Burkhead. A.J. Green, Lazard, or OBJ. Yeah, I'm rocking with A.J. Green, who is 75 yards away from a $250,000 bonus. In a game that the Cardinals want to win. The Cardinals win and the Rams lose, they win the NFC West. And they secure a better home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think that the Cardinals will go all out today, and that's going to be good news for A.J. Green with no DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup. Pick 2, Foreman, Najee Harris, or A.J. Dillon. I think you still rock with Najee Harris. This is not an easy one. I think I would probably go with Foreman, though, over A.J. Dillon. It's tough because we know Aaron Jones is out, but they still might rest A.J. Dillon a little bit. I think the Packers in the second half might not play any of their starters, where the Titans are going to be playing to win this whole game. So I think I would go with the first 2 guys. Gesicki or Higbee. Yeah, I think I have Gesicki slightly ahead of Higbee in my rankings. Yeah, I do. He's 1 spot ahead. I think I would go with Mike Gesicki. Ertz or Kittle. Yeah, you got to go Kittle. You have to play Kittle over Ertz. Also, the 49ers win, and they're in. This is a big game for the 49ers. So expect them to use their best offensive player, or second best, if you consider Deebo Samuel better than Kittle. I expect Kittle to be very involved, though, in this game. Ravens or Giants defense? Yeah, I'd go with the Ravens defense over the Giants defense. Any faith in Hollywood Brown? Yeah, I got a little bit of faith. I don't have that much faith, but definitely a little bit of faith in Hollywood Brown. I have a little bit of faith in Rashad Bateman too. I do think Tyler Huntley's gonna have a good game. Mooney, Waddle, or Christian Kirk to go with St. Brown. I think you go Christian Kirk. I don't know how much Waddle's gonna play after he gets his 3 catches and breaks the rookie reception record. Meanwhile, Christian Kirk is in a big game. And he could easily lead the Cardinals in receiving it against a bad Seahawks secondary. I have Gronk and Muth. Do the Bucs have anything to play for? The Bucs do have things to play for. The Bucs win, Rams lose. They get the 2 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Plus, Gronk has a lot to play for, Quentin. Gronk is 75 yards away from a $250,000 bonus. And he's 10 catches away from another $250,000 bonus. I think he's got a shot at both those. Obviously, the 10 catches is much tougher than the 75 yards, but expect him to get peppered with targets today. I like Gronk a lot. I would definitely play him over Muth. The Steelers also have an outside shot at the playoffs, but I think they have even less to play for, honestly, than the Bucs. Grayson or Vaughn as flex. Yeah, this one's not easy. I think I would go Grayson, though. I think I would go Grayson. He's had 81 yards back-to-back games. I think I would go Grayson over Lazard, too. Over OBJ, I don't think I would do that, though. I think I would play OBJ over Serial Grayson. Parker, Ayuk, or Swift. I think I would go Ayuk at the bazooka, then Devontae Parker, then DeAndre Swift. I don't have much faith in DeAndre Swift. I don't understand why a guy like DeAndre Swift, who has struggled with injuries, similar for Antonio Gibson too, like why push them to the limit in Week 18? It just doesn't make sense, which is why I don't think it's going to happen. Sam, Mike Williams, Adams, or Lockett full PPR? Yeah, I think Mike Williams is the only guy here with something to actually play for. But I actually like Lockett the most. I think I would go Lockett, Williams, then Adams. I don't think Adams plays more than half. I don't think he's going to play more than half. AJ Dillon or Brandon Cooks for flex. Yeah, Parker, I think you rock with AJ Dillon. There's no Aaron Jones in the lineup today. AJ Dillon should be in line for at least 20 touches. At least 20 touches. Ravens or Chargers? Sorry, yeah, I think I like the Ravens defense more than the Chargers too. The Raiders offense is scarier than the Steelers offense. Higbee or Knox? Yeah, I'd go Knox over Higbee. I have him ranked at 6. I have Higbee ranked at 8. Pitts or Kittle? Yeah, that one's close too. So Pitts is 60 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record for tight ends, which was set by Mike Ditka like a long time ago. But Kittle's also in a must-win game. He's in a must-win game where the 49ers win and they're into the playoffs. But I have Kyle Pitts ranked one spot ahead of Kittle. I expect Pitts to really be peppered with targets. So it's close though. Brandon Cooks or Mike Williams? I think I would go with Mike Williams over Cooks. Mike Williams has something to play for. Brandon Cooks doesn't. That's the best tiebreaker in Week 18. It's the best tiebreaker in Week 18. I like Brady today, but I like Kyler Murray much more. If you remove Aaron Rodgers from the scenario, I have them both ranked as top 4 QBs. And I think that you probably should remove Aaron Rodgers from these rankings here because I don't think he's playing more than half. But Kyler Murray is my number 2 QB. I think the Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, they do have a lot to play for today, trying to secure some home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They have a good chance to win the NFC West still. And they're playing the Seahawks. And I actually think Russell Wilson is going to have a good game too. I think this could be the highest scoring game of the week. So yeah, I like Kyler Murray a lot, Doug. I like Kyler Murray a lot. All right, I got time for a couple more questions before we wrap up the final live stream of the regular season. Chase, Hubbard, or Osborne in flex, Knox or Jared Cook? You can't play Jamar Chase. Once he gets to the 55 yards, breaks the rookie record, breaks the Bengals record, you can't trust him. I don't trust Chuba Hubbard either, though. And I don't trust Osborne as well. I guess like you go with Chase in this situation. And I would definitely play Knox over Jared Cook. Kylo, appreciate your support, man. I'll be live throughout the season, throughout the offseason, throughout the playoffs too. Expect to see you back in the lives, Kylo. Really, thank you for your support this season. Montgomery or Michelle? It's got to be Sony. It's got to be Sony over Montgomery. So much in an 18-man league. That's what I'm talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. Guys, if I helped you at all this season, win your championship, win in DFS, win some player props, make sure you let me know in the WalterPicks app, in the Winners Ball. I'll be back live throughout the playoffs, talking about daily fantasy player props and my general expectations for the playoffs. Last season, guys, I only predicted 2 playoff games wrong. I predicted 2 playoff games wrong last season. One of them was the Super Bowl, and one of them was, I think, in the first round of the playoffs. So I'll be talking about playoffs throughout the NFL playoffs, of course. I'll be back live on YouTube and TikTok, and I'll be posting some weekly and daily content on TikTok as well. Guys, thanks to you so much for the support. Good luck this Sunday. Good luck Week 18, and we'll talk next week. Have a good one, guys.